Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming today. I'd like to call the second session of the Hawaii County Council Committee on Planning to order. Today is January 8th. It's about 1:01 right now, and we are at the County Council Chambers here in Hilo. And please turn off all your cell phones, pagers, or other mobile communication devices on silent mode if you'd like. I'd like to introduce the members of the Planning Committee that are present today. To my far left, we have Margaret Wille. Moving right, Valerie Poindexter, Brenda Ford. Down to my far right, we have Gregor Ilagan. Moving left, Dru Kanuha and Karen Eoff. And I am Zendo Kern, chair of the Planning Committee. So first, calling the meeting to order, I'd like to first take statements from the members of the public. Before we get into that, I want to say that out of respect for the process and the testifying, I'm a firm believer of 3-minute rule. Sometimes I get in a little hot water for it. And what I'm going to do is at 2.5 minutes, we're going to hear a beep. And at that point in time, I'm going to ask you to please summarize. And you'll have 30 seconds left, and it'll beep twice. And I will, at that point in time, cut you off. And it will be done with much aloha and respect. And I don't mean to be rude, but I'm very firm on this. It's just a personal belief I have for fairness. I'd like to check in with the other areas to see who we have to testify. Pahoa, do we have testifiers there?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have 6 testifiers at this time.
Okay, thank you. Waimea?
No, Mr. Chair, we do not have any testifiers for this event.
Thank you. Kona?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. We have about 4 testifiers, and I'd also like to bring to your attention, in regards to Communication 37, I have Mr. Alvin Okina Jr. and Mr. Paul Black here in the Kona office, and Director Bobby Jean Leathead Todd of the Planning Department here also.
Very good, thank you. And Ka'u?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. There are no testifiers here in Ka'u.
Thank you. Right now we have 5 testifiers in Hilo signed up. I'm going to start in Pahoa and take 2 testifiers in Pahoa, move to Kona, take 2 there, and then we'll come here and do 2, and we'll rotate around until we are POW with public testimony. So, Pahoa, could you please bring up your first testifier?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To begin, we have Renee Siracusa, representing Malama Opuna. She would like to comment on communication number 63.
Very good.
Good morning, council persons. You know, the state lands belong to all of us, and it strikes me as being very inappropriate for a handful of people to make decisions about our property, especially since it is the mandate of the state to protect and maintain those lands, and the whole raison d'etre of the PLDC seems to be exploitative. That said, I want to point out that, as we all know, the state legislature has exempted itself from the Sunshine Law. The PLDC has taken this a couple of steps further and not only closed the curtains, but moved into the closet and shut the door. What I'm referring to is their whole administrative rules process about making their materials and their decisions and their meetings open to the public. Those meetings are not going to be on the Big Island, folks. You know, we're all going to have to travel to if we even find out where they are, we're going to have to travel to Oahu. And if we want to get any information, it will not be sufficient if we're filing a FONSI request. Excuse me, not a FONSI request, a request for freedom of information, a FOIA, to say, I would like everything in your files regarding this particular project or this particular piece of land. No, their rules say that you have to very specifically ask for any documents. In other words, you would have to say, I want to see the letter dated such and such state from so-and-so to so-and-so regarding this and that. And yet, they are not putting up a master list of what documents are available. So what we've got is a catch-22. They're closing the door on public input. They don't want anyone to know what they're doing, and that's what we're approving if we go ahead and let them do this. We're approving another step into the dark ages of the public not being allowed, and that includes the county government, too, you know. You're not going to be able to find out stuff so easily either. They may tell you that they'll take you and consult with the planning department, but consulting is a far cry from doing what, say, the planning department or the people of the Big Island would want them to do. They can just listen, nod their heads, and go their happy way and do whatever they were planning to do originally. This is a lousy idea, and I don't think we should stand for it. It's taking away all the rights of the public and the counties. And I would really like to see you folks
Please
join
summarize.
the other islands in opposing the PLDC. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Michael, please call up the next testifier, please.
Our next testifier will be Mr. Paul Kuykendall, representing himself. He would also like to comment on communication number 63.
Very good. You may begin.
Thank you. My name is Paul Kuykendall. I live in Pahoa. And I want to thank the Council for being proactive and bringing this discussion early about the PLDC. It's pretty clear that it's a poor piece of legislation, but to me it's an indicator of a general tendency of the state to ignore the needs of both the environment and the local citizens in favor of fast-tracking development. And I think it's an opportunity for the Hawaii County Council. It's a new council. It's an opportunity for the council to take a look at all the things the state are trying to do, not just the PLDC, but also Act 97, and make sure that whatever development happens on this island happens in such a way that the INA and the people are protected. We have a long history here of developments happening or starting to happen and then stopping because proper procedures and inputs were not brought in. So we know PLDC is a bad idea, but I ask the council to take a proactive approach to protecting home rule and to make sure that any development, particularly geothermal development, we know there's an RFP out for geothermal. We've seen a long history of geothermal development out in Puna where there hasn't been a regulatory structure really in place. No one's really minding the store. They're asking PGV to basically regulate themselves, and we can't repeat that situation over and over in the island. So thank you for the council for bringing this issue up early, and I simply ask you to continue to protect the health and safety of the residents of the island and also protect the environment, because you're our last line of defense against basically a state that has turned in the direction of not paying attention to the local people. Mahalo.
Thank you for your testimony. We're going to move to Kona now. Kona, can you please call up your first testifier?
Yes, our first testifier is Mr. Mike Bond. He is representing himself and his ohana. He would like to make a comment on Communication 63 in regards to the PLDC.
Very good. You may begin.
Hello, council members, and mahalo for this opportunity to contribute to hopefully, hopefully a wiser and more long-term vision of how to take care of this island. I come here to speak not only for myself, but for my ohana, and also, if you wish, for my ancestors. Our ohana in North Kohola is the one side of it's been there for almost 200 years. My ancestor was the first created the first girls' school in Hawaii and the second boys' school. Another of my ancestors was the first doctor on the Big Island. On the other side, my ancestors go back to the first seafarers who came here over 1,000 years ago. And I speak for those who can't be here because they're working and tied up. And I just want to give you the impression of our entire ohana that we would very much request that you repeal Act 55. The PLDC, as we see it, is a total and absolute disgrace. What it does, as you well know, it just hands away our public lands to the developers and the bankers and all of the other governor's friends. Because if you really look at it, it's the governor who is behind this. The governor has been behind a lot of these kinds of sneaky deals to take Hawaii away from the people. And the big problem with PLDC, again, as you know, is it avoids all kinds of cultural and social and environmental analysis and contribution from the people. So there's no way, once a deal is made, and it can be made very fast, there's absolutely no way the people of the Big Island can make any contribution to whether that was a good idea or a bad idea, or whether we want to take the lands that belong to all of the people on this island and take them away and give them to the governor's friends. I think this is a little bit like the old Soviet Union, where the commissars in Moscow decided what to do, and they moved people off the land when they wanted, and they gave away the land, and they turned it into refineries and developments and whatever they wanted. But that is not democracy, and that is not Hawaii. Hawaii, for over 1,000 years, has been based on the idea that the people get together and make decisions, and it's those excuse me, I'm losing my voice. It's those decisions that count. What the people do,
Please
not
summarize.
what the people, not what a few people in Honolulu do. And it's the same with Act 97. That should also be repealed. So it's dirty politics behind closed doors, and it's for the corporations, not for the people. So I thank you again, council members, for the opportunity to speak, and I beg you and urge you on the part of all of my ohana and our ancestors to repeal Act 55 and Act 97. Mahalo.
Thank you. We'll take one more testifier from Kona at this time.
Aloha.
One second. We have Miss Virginia Isbell. She is in opposition, and she would like to represent herself in regards to Communication 63 PLDC.
Very good. May I begin?
Thank you very much. My name is Virginia Isbell, and I'm proud of that. I've used it many, many times as members of the State House of Representatives for 16 years and as a member of the County Council at one time. I would like to recommend that the County Council pass a resolution to the State, Senate, and House to reconsider Senate Bill 1555, Act 055, passed in 2011, to repeal this act. This act is an abomination. I cannot imagine how anything like this passed. There are 5 individuals who run this so-called group, and 3 of whom are paid for by the state as in their capacity of heading a department. Only 2 are independent from the public. If that isn't one-sided, I don't know what is. That means they can always be outvoted. And whatever the government wants, that is, whatever the governor of the state wants, they will get. And that you might want to start connecting the dots. I would like to request that all other counties be asked to join in on this important act and repeal it. It's a serious, serious business. And I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. We're going to take a few testifiers from here in Hilo. We have a few more than originally had. 3, 4, in the range of 8 or 9. So we're going to call up Dwight Vicente. I'm going to call up 2 at a time, and then Corey Harden. Mr. Vicente,
good afternoon. My name is Dwight Vicente, representing Hawaiian Kingdom. The communication is dealing with commissions, boards, and regents. It is a means by which to circumvent constitution prohibitions. And that's what it has always been. Where the Constitution says no, create a commission or a regent. And qualification. Anyone claiming to be a U.S. citizen has to have been naturalized to one of the 13 states. The state of Hawaii has no laws to naturalize anybody. Even Native Hawaiians cannot be naturalized. On the Public Land Development Corporation, the United States illegally applied the Monroe Doctrine or the Northwest Ordinance to this kingdom in 1887 with a gun. First, it was a Bennett Constitution, Reciprocity Treaty, where the U.S. Navy was illegally stationed here. And it continued to today. There's a good book, Public Lands Policy in Hawaii and Historical Analysis. Report number 5, 1969. You can get it from the Legislative Reference Bureau. It refers all to the Northwest Ordinance or the Monroe Doctrine. That's what and by the way, Hawaii doesn't have public lands. These lands under the Mahalia are designated Crown or government lands. The provisional government, which was foreign nationals, 13 of them from 3 different countries, stated in 1897 that they gave Crown and government lands to the United States. The reason they acted back then was because the treaties that King Kalakaua signed in 1887 was to expire in 1897, and they couldn't sign treaties. So that was catch-22. And there's another book that needs to be looked at is the Northwest Ordinance in the American Revolution by David Skaggs. It tells you the history, and it mentions Hawaii, and Hawaii doesn't have public lands. It's the Wild Wild West. That's what the Monroe Doctrine is based on. You rule with the gun. They use it on the Indians. They use it on Native Hawaiians. They use it in Japan, Germany. They're in the Middle East right now with the Monroe Doctrine. Constitution prohibits. They conveniently use the Northwest Ordinance, which is cited in the U.S. Constitution, Article 4, Section 3, Clause 2, limited to the disposition of those lands under Article 5 of the Northwest Ordinance. It doesn't continue. What I'll do, I'll leave some copies with you. One is the Steinbeck's first message in 1950 Constitutional Convention. He stated 3 things in there. First, the creation of the territory of Hawaii and the state of Hawaii based on our Northwest Ordinance of 1787. If you were Asian here, you could not be naturalized. And the other one was income tax placed on the territory of Hawaii. So that was the 3 main things. And I'll give you a copy of the Northwest Ordinance. So with this, I'll end in reserving the rights of this kingdom under the Queen's Protest of January 17, 1893. It is yet to make its way to the U.S. Supreme Court, Article 3, Section 2, Clause 2. Original but limited jurisdiction over U.S. Minister Stevens, and there's no jurisdiction over the Hawaiian Kingdom. And the other one is the Northwest Ordinance of 1787. Venue, D.C., jurisdiction, U.S. District Court. Thank you.
Thank you. Corey Harden, may begin.
Hello, Corey Harden, First Sierra Club, Mokulua Group, speaking on 2 items. One is Communication 63 regarding the Public Land Development Corporation. You folks should have this report from the Legislative Reference Bureau, which talks about laws that PLDC is exempt from. That might be helpful. As far as I can see, as far as how county laws and land use policies apply to PLDC proposed developments, they don't hardly apply at all. PLDC is probably exempt from county planning and zoning ordinances, county building permits, subdivision rules and regulations, community development plans, and more. There are no neighbor island people on its board, and counties that oppose PLDC have been threatened with reductions in transient accommodation tax income. There might be only 2 things that might slow down PLDC. One is no source of drinking water for a proposed development. The other is a requirement that PLDC coordinate public land planning activities with county planning departments and with county land use plans, policies, and ordinances, but the requirement is vague and weak. County and state laws have protected places like Honolulu, Kealakekua, Naalehu, O'oma, and Pohue, but now these laws can't stop PLDC. PLDC may not even have to hold public hearings for its proposed projects. PLDC threatens agriculture, shoreline, and conservation land. It threatens public health and safety, and it throws out broad-based long-term planning. If developers make promises, then break them. PLDC has no incentive to hold their feet to the fire, because if a project fails, PLDC will lose money. PLDC can operate in secret. It is exempt from the procurement code, meaning citizens can't find out what's in PLDC contracts. Citizens have little recourse with PLDC. They get a few minutes testimony at a meeting. They can comment on environmental studies, but those only describe bad projects, but have no power to stop them. You can't do contested case hearings or lawsuits. In short, the county cannot protect the people and the land from PLDC.
Please summarize.
Thanks for passing the resolution against it, and please keep the pressure on the state ledge. Second thing, communication 745.32.
Hold on one second, Ms. Harden. You're moving on to another communication,
yeah.
Correct? Okay, can we reset the timer? Thank you very much. Continue.
This is about ag tourism. We really thank Brenda Ford for her wonderful amendments, which address many concerns. There's a few specific concerns that are not addressed. They're in my list that was given to you. There's kind of two fundamental concerns in all of this. One is, will this bill mean more crops grown on our island for food and other basic needs, so we become less dependent on fossil fuel to ship in goods and tourists and to ship out products? Or would this bill just encourage more side businesses? Will hundreds of visitors overwhelm rural neighborhoods? Will land prices go up, raising property taxes for neighbors and raising land prices beyond the reach of farmers? And will off-island interests take control of local land? The second basic concern is, how good will enforcement be? Sometimes the planning department doesn't check for compliance with the regulations until it gets a complaint. Sometimes neighbors don't complain because they would have to reveal their names and they risk retaliation from the offender. And even if someone complains, nothing gets done unless they sue, if they can afford to do that. A couple of specific concerns. Still 700 visitors in one day could be allowed. I think that's way too many. The roadside stands don't need off-street parking. Well, there's just an article recently about how dangerous our highways are, and the little rural roads are not much safer. Let's see. I think visitors should be counted per day, so those 700 a week can't all come on one day. I think we need plan approval for minor ag products processing facilities. We still don't know if planning doesn't meet the 30-day deadline on applications, what happens? Is there automatic approval? I certainly hope not. Or is it a gray area? That's no good either. For when you're counting up how much money comes from agriculture, we should not count ag product sales, just plain agriculture.
Please summarize.
And there's more, but you can read it. So thank you, Brenda.
Thank you. We're going to, there's a testifier in Waimea now. We'll take the testifier in Waimea if they're still there.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have Mr. John Adams here. He represents the North Kohala CDP Action Committee, and he's up for nomination, and he's here for any questions that you may have.
Okay, if you're coming up for the nomination, you can hold off, and we can actually bring you up when we actually bring up that communication. If you'd like to give testimony, you're more than welcome to at this point on any of the other communications.
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move back to Pahoa. Please bring up your next testifier, please.
All right, thank you, Chair. We have here Suzanne Waitlin representing herself, and she would like to comment on communication number 63.
Aloha. My name is Suzanne Waitlin, and I'm here to remind you that the priorities of the PLDC, Act 55 and Act 97, are not in the interests of the people of the County of Hawaii. We need you to make sure that the pro-development wants of the state do not override the needs to protect us and ensure that we have a voice. So please work to help repeal Act 55 and Act 97, and I appreciate that you will work to continue to allow us to have a voice in what happens. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Pahoa, please call up one more testifier.
This is Mr. Dave Kaiser. He is in opposition to and would like to comment on communication number 63.
You may begin.
Yes, my name's Dave Kaiser, and I'm pretty much appalled at the way this operation is being run. We have absolutely no say in what's going on in our own little world. It's like people are, corporations want to turn our little world into a vast wasteland so they can pump power over into the center of the universe, otherwise known as Honolulu, for their own, so they can have their creature comforts. They want to leave us with possibility of hydrogen sulfide in the air, and the sounds of the whining turbines at the geothermal. Well, I spent around time around jets. I can probably deal with it, but I say most people around here probably couldn't. I have a little sound meter that, and I've picked up about 60 decibels at midnight, which is, imagine I'm about 2.5 miles away from the well. People who live around there in the Leilani are probably going nuts. So anyway, I just thought I'd let you know I oppose all this. In 97, mostly, I'm not that really knowledgeable on 55, but from what I've heard, it's not any better. Okay, well, that's it for me. Thanks a bunch, and anchors away.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We're going to come back here to Hilo and call a couple more testifiers. Jeffrey Last and Larry Jering. Jeffrey on communication 63. You may begin.
Aloha. Nice to see new faces here. In a way, I'm kind of grateful for Act for the 63, the PLDC, because what it is, it's so blatant, it's so terrible that it's waking people up. You saw the reaction around the state. It's wonderful. We're getting together with other organizations now all over the state. We've had it. I loved it that the last council last year unanimously said, hey, PLDC, no. I think it's up to you folks now not only to say unanimously, but to write something up and say, hey, we're not going to stand for this. The big question with every one of you is do you support people or do you support development? Developers come from outside the community. You all know that. How many times does a developer come from inside the community? Very rarely. And what are they after? They're after financial gain. This measure is so bad that they expect us to foot the bill for infrastructure. They want the county to foot the bill for infrastructure. Let's just throw the cable out there, this big cable boondoggle. They want us to pay for that. They want the people to pay for that. So it's as we wake up here in the community and we get more active and have control of our lives, I hope that you on the county level realize that you've been gutted too by this state. And then the county, and we get gutted in the community. So please wake up, be alive, and say, hey, no more of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Larry Jering, may begin.
Good afternoon, Council. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and thank you to the testifiers for their input and their obviously outrage. And I love it. It's pure democracy. And the first meeting of the PLDC held in Hilo High School back in, October, September, whatever. Margaret attended that one, so did Zendo. I appreciated that tremendously. And there were probably a couple of hundred people there. And and they were just as outraged about the whole thing. And the chairman or somebody who tried to explain the objectives of the PLDC told us what he told us, And that really fired people up. I mean, they were fired up even more after he got through trying to explain it. Anyhow, onward and onward, there was a lot of testifiers. But I had the opportunity to talk to Senator Solomon at another meeting. She was one of the co-sponsors of that bill that created that corporation. And I explained to her about my concern about how poorly, it was laid out at the meeting in Hilo. And as I best remember, she claimed that it was designed to protect beaches and the environment and businesses that were bordering the beaches. And I said, well, none of that was brought to our attention. I said, if that was indeed the case, then you should be holding a news conference to explain it further so we have a better idea. Well, I've never seen any mention of that news conference, so I don't think it happened. So anyhow, the PLDC / Oahu-centric is a bad idea. It belongs in the same cesspool as the Jones Act, which cost us a lot more money because of its passage many, many years ago. So don't give up on us. Don't give up on us. And keep in mind our home rule. We need home rule. We don't need Oahu telling us anything. We've got enough bright people here. 9 bright people on the council can easily take care of everything that needs to be taken care of. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. We're going to go back to Kona now. Please call up your next testifier.
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to bring to your attention that Mr. Alvin Aquina had a personal issue that he had to leave early for. And he was here for an hour, so he just left. And he most likely will not be back in time for Communication 36 and nomination.
Okay, thank you for that.
All right, our next testifier is Mr. Winfield Chang. He is representing himself as a private citizen. He is in opposition to Communication 63 in regards to the PLDC.
Aloha, awina laka ko apau. Good afternoon, council members. My name is Winfield Chang, and I live in Kalokomauka here in Kailua. My presence here today before the council is to oppose the creation of the Public Land Development Corporation and to applaud the position of the Hawaii County Council along with most other county councils and its overwhelming support to repeal Act 55. Interestingly enough, this legislative action appears to have been fast-tracked in 2011, purportedly to provide additional revenue within the framework of a very vague private and public partnership. Absent public input or oversight and exempted from prevailing zoning regulations and land use laws, further communication has been reluctantly forthcoming to citizens of the state. There has been more than ample time to inform the public whose valid concerns regarding process and ramifications can be examined. The appointment of a nebulous 5-member commission with powers to make decisions on what may deem to be unreasonable commercial development in conflict with local sentiment having detrimental environmental and cultural effects is outrageous on several levels. At the outset, political appointments, while necessary, should provide access to public scrutiny with regard to qualifications in any particular agenda by both those charged with these appointments and the impact on any community. This has been particularly sensitive when dealing with our diminishing pristine coastline here in West Hawaii. The wounds generated by recent disputes in both the O'oma and Kunakaiola challenges are still fresh in the minds of our community. Having numerous hearings which arguably reflect conflicting community prerogatives and the combined interest of both the current administration and commercial developers have created a credibility quotient of some concern with regard to the issue of public trust. When over 70% of the community takes the time to testify in opposition of commercial development, is pitted against the resources of both the community planning director and a commercial developer with the savvy to retain a Kama'aina law firm, the scales of justice are decidedly skewed. The steadfast position of the county and developer determined to acquiesce to the almighty dollar in lieu of preserving the quality of life for future generations has created a tremendous amount of cynicism. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We'll take another testifier from Kona, please.
Our next testifier is Janice Palmagreni. She would like to testify on 2 items today. The first one is she's in opposition of Communication 63 in regards to the PLDC. The second item is she would like to make a comment on Communication 745.32, Bill 266, in regards to the Ag Bill.
Very good. You begin.
Hello, council members. I don't know if I'm opposed to Communication 63, but I am supportive of repealing the Act 55 immediately for all of the reasons that were already stated and discussed here by such thoughtful and in-depth testimony, as well as what can be found online by the many community groups and many individuals that are opposed to the existence of the PLDC throughout the state. There's no fixing the PLDC to make it reasonable or necessary. Our existing laws can accommodate the huge majority of issues supposedly covered by the PLDC. For those issues that are not, they can be taken on a case-by-case basis, as has been done in the past, or addressed in more narrowly focused legislation. Please support a resolution to overturn the PLDC.
Thank you. Are you going to testify on Bill 266 now?
Yes, I am. Thanks.
Very good. You may begin.
Many thanks, and especially to Brenda Ford for your hard work trying to hone a better ag tourism bill. With the latest amendments, this draft is closer to being acceptable than the rest. However, work remains if, in fact, ag tourism is what Hawaii Island farmers really need to keep them farming. It's impossible to speak to these many issues in 3 minutes, but I'll try a few. First, the enforcement of a final ag bill remains crucial, yet there remain no ironclad provisions to give the public a sense of real protection from abuses that will definitely occur. And for your information, I have another lack of enforcement story. Close friends of mine bought 5 acres of ag land for what would become a thriving mango farm and business. Their new off-island neighbors decided to create an events and lodging venue across the street. After following the county protocol for stopping the illegal use of that property, my friends, far from being sue-happy, hired a lawyer. They knew their case was tight and planned to live their retirement days in that property. Even though they won their case all the way through an appeal, no agency, including the county, stopped the operation, which continues to this very day. It was years ago. Feeling totally let down by the county after over 4 decades of residence and being fed up with the illegal daily intrusions, they put their beloved home and farm up for sale. The other issue is daily guest count. It eludes me how this hasn't been included and why the numbers remain so high. For a person to count visitors per week, they need to count visitors per day. And can anyone also explain why this requirement is being avoided and how anyone can be sure that a count that is voluntary won't be abused? My final looming question is, who is this bill actually for? Is it for real farmers or is it for people who want to cash in and be a part of the tourism trade? If there's been more than 1 or 2 bona fide longtime farmers who've testified in favor of this law in any of its incarnations, then I've been asleep at the many hearings I've attended. Though one woman continues to testify that she's speaking on behalf of 100 farmers in favor of the bill, I keep wondering where they are, what they know about the drafts of the bill, and if they have any idea what the proposed changes, including increased traffic, parties, overnight guests, and noise will mean for their farms and their lives. Do they understand that even if they don't choose the ag tourism route, their property value and taxes could dramatically increase if their neighbors do? That isn't what someone who wants to grow mangoes or coffee or a successful plant nursery wants in the long run.
Please summarize.
However, that's exactly what speculators and other people depending upon tourism for a living want to promote. And I wonder if it is they who initiated this ag tourism idea in the first place. Thank you very much for this this opportunity to testify before you today.
Thank you for your testimony. We're going to be coming back here to Hilo. Lauren Douglas, I think Lauren left. Apologize, I'm probably not going to pronounce this right, but Moani Kekua Akaka? Okay, Kiala. And Tom Lewis?
Ano ai ke aloha. My name is Moani Keala Akaka. It's a Hawaiian, those are Hawaiian words. Anyway, I'm here to speak against the PLDC, and I'd like to thank you, Ms. Wild, for bringing this to the attention of the County Council. I'd like to also welcome those of you who are new County Council persons. Hopefully there'll be some new changes on this county, much needed changes on this County Council now that some people have been flushed out. This, as has been said, this County Council did take a position against the PLDC last year, as has Maui and Kauai. In fact, the only one that here that was wavered some was Mr. Onishi, who has obviously made deals with the PLDC, because the next day when I called the PLDC, I was pointedly asked about Mr. Onishi's position. And now that his brother is also elected to office, we can, possibly guess which side that they're going to be on relating to this PLDC, which is a very crucial issue to all of us. These are lands that my ancestors left for we, the Native Hawaiian people, that we are sharing with all of you that have come here to paradise. And there's a great deal of concern because of the kinds of actions that will be taken on this PLDC. Luckily, this County Council voted last year against the PLDC. I hope you do the same for the sake of our present and future generations. When they first came here, you can check it out on Google, Public Land Development Corporation. The first meeting was held here in Hilo. Over 100 people showed up. You can find that on Google. Everyone there spoke against it. Mr. Haraguchi, who was the head of the PLDC, who also was here at the County Council meeting last year when you passed that resolution, had promised that if there were any changes that were going to be made, they would come back around the state. Well, that didn't happen. They only had this meeting several months ago over on Oahu, ignoring the rest of the state, because all over the state, the people have said, don't do it. This,
Please summarize.
This Public Land Development Corporation is a theft of our lands that are for our present and future generations. And if they want to improve some of these accommodations like Hapuna Beach cabins, as well as the Mauna Kea cabins, they can do that without sacrificing our public lands. And as far as geothermal is concerned, we are on the neighbor islands out of choice, and we should not be sacrificed for Oahu's electric lights.
Thank you for your testimony.
There will be a rally, the opening day of the legislature, against the PLDC.
Thank you for your testimony.
And it's important that our people stand up and be counted. And Mr. Zendo Kern, you should
Please.
The dictatorial attitude.
No, it's just about fairness across everybody.
Behavior that you're
No.
going to be having
Please.
this county council.
All right, well, taking a
we can
recess.
see.
Calling the meeting back to order. Again, my 3-minute rule is about fairness across. Mr. Tom Lewis, communication on communication 63.
I think it's Tom Travis, but I don't write clearly all the time.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm Tom Travis. I'm here to comment on Communication 63. I thank the County Council for again considering this important issue. As much as I sometimes disagree with some of you on the County Council and in the county government, I very much cherish the opportunity to discuss things with you. I do not have to buy a plane ticket to do so. The PLDC and Act 97, by law, bypass safeguards for the environment and for the local culture. Those laws exist, and it also bypasses other laws and removes from the county much of the framework for shaping community development and for gathering community input. Much has been said about changing the PLDC through administrative rules. I find this a dodge about the real issue. Laws provide the framework, rules implement the framework. The laws are flawed. They must be repealed, not covered over by rules which can be changed in Honolulu without Big Island input. Please do all you can to repeal Act 55 and Act 97. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go back to Pahoa. Please call up your next testifier, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have Mr. Douglas Orton here. Would like to comment on communication number 63, representing himself as a Puna resident.
May begin.
My name is Doug Orton, and I am simply here to urge the Council to repeal 97 and 55, and I'm one of many that is against any geothermal development. Thank you.
Thank you. Pahoa, call up your next testifier.
This is Ms. Jane Hedke representing herself, and she would like to comment on Communication 63 as well.
May begin.
I support. Hi. Thank you for having us testify. I support the resolution to repeal the PLDC in its entirety. In essence, this law gives the DLNR unprecedented rights to establish, develop, and manage public-private investment opportunities upon any public land, possibly including 1.8 million acres of ceded Crown land. It means that all public lands, even ceded royal lands, are now open to corporate investment that will be subsidized by public land and money, with the taxpayers being burdened with the risks and aftermath of such a development failure. Most of the rules dictating critical aspects, such as where specific industries are allowed to be developed or whether or not an environmental impact statement is needed, are decided by an administrative rulemaking process that is controlled by non-elected bureaucrats and industry insiders that are not directly accountable to the public. The rights of property owners abutting such developments are violated through forced participation in funding fundamental changes to the local power or infrastructure that are brought on solely by the developer, and noncompliance is met with legal actions against your property. This issue affects every single resident of the state, and especially private landowners. I hope that all will stand up against the transnational corporations which seek unbridled exploitation of our state resources, and for our corrupt state government that is all too willing to sell out its people for power and prominence in the regional economic bloc. Some of the things that are specifically really bad are the permissible uses of public land. The types of enterprises that are listed have shall include but not be limited to is in the language. You know what that means? Anything goes. Exemptions. It shall be exempt from statutes, ordinances, charter provisions, rules of any government agency relating to land use, zoning, and construction standards. Wow. There will be, what else? There's no bid contracting, no requirements to be subject to a competitive bid process, selling of public lands. The initial premise is that title remains with the respective agency and only the development rights will transfer over to PLDC. But later on it says that the respective title agency can transfer the titles to the PLDC. Lastly and not least, the financial instruments. A wide range of financial instruments can utilize to assist in funding the development. I can't even finish. I have written testimony that I'd like to submit. I couldn't get the 9 copies in time. So if anyone is interested in seeing the rest of the analysis, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. And please do submit your written testimony. We do read it.
All right, thank you. Will do.
Okay, coming back to Hilo. Calling up Robert Petrucci and Donald Wessels. Good afternoon.
Aloha. Am I on? Aloha. Thank you for having us here today, and thank you, Margaret, for bringing this forward. We really appreciate it. I'm here today testifying for the Punapono Alliance. So we're in opposition to the PLDC. We would like to see that repealed, and anything you can do to help us. The Big Island residents here are already at a severe disadvantage when it comes to lawmaking at the legislature. We can't travel there. We don't have a voice. We're up against corporate lobbyists, and there's so many things stacked against us as the people here in Hawaii that to pass something like the PLDC doesn't make sense, especially when we look at Honolulu. Let's take a look at Honolulu and what they've done. And it's a mess. It's an unsustainable mess. Is that really who we want now coming here to our island to tell us without any county input and oversight how we should develop the Big Island? So let's see. We also, I want to support what Corey Harden said from the Sierra Club. Punapono Alliance supports that testimony 100%. And, the PLDC is going to remove any meaningful input from the people here in the county. So we already we feel like we have no voice as it is. I mean, look at the geothermal issue, and we have this power plant out there. It's been there since 1990, and they've had 19 civil defense declared emergencies, and that was only between 91 and 99. After that, they locked the records down, so we can't even see any of that stuff anymore. We don't even know. But they blew it up in 2004. They just blew up a well again. What other power plant in the state of Hawaii has had that kind of impact on the community, yet we're unable to do anything about it? And now we're going to give the PLDC carte blanche to do this without any permit. They're going to even streamline it more. That power plant has been a disaster. If you just look at the record, so I think we need to be careful. Really, you're losing your home rule. Act 97. Act 55. There's a lot of stuff coming down the pike, and do you really want to give the power that you have?
Please summarize.
Do you really want to give the power that you have over to Honolulu? I say simply look at Honolulu, and please, thank you. Aloha.
Thank you. Donald Wessels.
Yes. It's about PLDC. First, I want to thank Brenda Ford for bringing up this resolution. Can you hear me? And to repeal the PLDC. The PLDC is bad policy and illegitimate government. It is mainly designed for the economic interests of private developers. It is a pillage of the Hawaiian heritage, a corruption of the rule of law that usurps the authority of this council. The job of government is not to optimize revenues. Its job is to serve the governed, not just those seeking profits. Those goals may overlap, but serving the governed is its primary purpose. Which is more important, people or property? Corporations are not persons, and they are not legitimate partners in government. The PLDC is legalized theft. It is the theft of the Hawaiian land, a theft of local authority, and the theft of this county council's corporate authority. Thank you for, and please seek to repeal this ridiculous law. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we're going to go back to Kona. You call up your next testifier.
Our next testifier is Mr. Charles Flaherty. He is representing the Kona Hawaiian Civic Club. He would like to make a comment on Communication 63 in regards to the PLDC.
Aloha, Mr. Chair and members of the County Council. I would like to say mahalo to Council Member Brenda Ford for introducing the resolution in the prior County Council, and also to Council Member Margaret Wille for bringing the issue forward for this County Council to discuss. I would also like to say mahalo to State Representative Denny Kaufman, who originally had supported the PLDC and voted for it, but who had the integrity and character to acknowledge that he didn't understand the full consequences of this act, and has subsequently stated that he will support repeal of it. I would like to share with you an experience that I had in October at the Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs convention in Washington, D.C. There was a resolution that was submitted to the convention for the repeal of the PLDC. Senators Malama Solomon and Puhai Ryan attended that convention, and they basically pulled the same sort of stunts that happened at the legislature, where misinformation was handed out and actually made statements that were just not true to the House of Delegates. Our club attempted to distribute the resolutions from the counties of Kauai, Hawaii, and Maui, but were prevented from doing so. We were attempting to educate the House of Delegates as to all of the issues involved, and the resolution as a result was narrowly defeated. I would also like for the County Council to recall what happened with the Forest City development at Ka'ahu'ohu, the villages of Kamakana, where the Hawaii Housing and Financing Development Corporation alleged, working with Forest City, alleged that they were creating an affordable housing project where they would not commit to anything below 140% of median income and only 50% plus one housing units. And they were exempted from an incredible number of county requirements, including the fact that we don't have the sewage and drinking water capacity. It was still approved. This is the same sort of thing. And so, as a prior testifier said, this is a blessing in disguise, this PLDC. It is waking the people up and getting people together and educating
Please
people.
summarize.
And in summary, I hope that not only will the PLDC issue be litigated, which I know it is. I know that lawsuits are already being planned, but I hope the issues that are involved will allow us to look at the other state agencies that use hooks like alleged for affordable housing to exempt themselves from the law. Mahalo.
Thank you for your testimony. Are there any other testifiers in Kona?
Yes, we have two more.
Okay, call up one more, please.
Sorry. Our next testifier is Ms. Shannon Rudolph. She is in opposition of Communication 63 in regards to the PLDC.
Aloha, Council. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you, Brenda, for paying attention. And I hope the new council is paying attention as closely as the old council on this. I'd also like to reiterate what Corey Hardin said, and also what Moani Keala Akaka said as far as this land being Hawaiian lands. The bottom line is the PLDC Act 55 did strip democracy from every single resident of the state of Hawaii. And by the way, Act 97 did the same thing. If you need more information on the dangers of Act 55, you can Google repeal PLDC and also look on the Facebook page Abolish the PLDC. There is many bills now. Sounds like legislators are falling all over themselves to write repeal bills now, including the new Senate President, Donna Kim. Josh Green supports the repeal. Representative Nicole Lowen supports the repeal, as well as Denny Kaufman. Cindy Evans said that she will support the repeal if that's what the public wants. And so there is a PLDC defense fund set up with Marjorie Bronster as lead attorney, and you can look that up on the Facebook page. The worst part of the PLDC is hidden in Chapter 13-303, which has been delayed indefinitely by the board, which may get snuck in sometime down the road. This all may be moot because on December 28th, the governor had a meeting with the big players, and there is discussion to morph the worst of the PLDC into the Office of State Planning. If all of this disturbs you, please write to your legislators now, and please show up for the PLDC GMO rally at the State Legislature January 16th at 9:30 a.m. Aloha.
Thank you. Pahoa, how many more testifiers do we have over there?
We have one more testifier.
Okay, please call
Chair.
that testifier forward, please.
This is Miss Barbara Conlanger, representing herself, and she would like to comment on communication number 60.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure seeing all of you. It's a pleasure seeing the new council members. I thank you very much, Council Member Ford. I thank you very, very much, new Council Member Wille. I thank you, Councilman Zendo Kern, for conducting this meeting so far in such a logical, pleasant way. And I really appeal to my new council member, Gregor. I don't really need to have much more to say about the repeal of Act 55 and excuse me here, and repealing the Public Land Development Corporation. So much has been said about it. Corey Hardin speaks eloquently. She is so well researched. The one thing that I think has not been presented here is everybody's email list, everybody's phone list of every person who is in opposition to this land takeover. So I guess I'm representing them as well, because we no longer sit here in our little cubicles or in our little office and speak to each other. We speak to everybody else on this island, and not only people who are currently here, but also for neighbors who own properties nearby, who also email each and every one of us. So I thank you. I know you will do your very, very best to repeal both of these acts. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. Kona, do you have one more testifier left? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Have them testify now, please.
All right, our last testifier is Kupuna Hannah Reeves. She is representing herself. She would like to make a comment on Communication 63 in regards to the PLDC.
Aloha, I'm Kupuna Hannah, wahini mai kai I o kang manukeli ulanani ole o Kalama Kane Reeve. I'm 100% Hawaiian. I'm a direct living descendant of Kamehameha First. The Kahuna line and the royalty line is Liliuokalani, the last queen that was in the White House. I just want to tell you that I'm 75. I'm amazed that all this is coming up. Our people are suffering. They suffer so much. And they're still suffering. They're slaves in the homeland. I'm sorry to say this, but I have to. The United States and the missionary and the Big Five and the military illegally overthrow the Queen, which is, I am a living descendant of her. Since then, she's locked up. No one ever took care of our people. And we've been slaughtered, we've been abused, we've been taken down poor and poor in our homeland. You're having this public land thing. What it does to me, it did do more damage to me and thousands of us still living today. We're connected to all the Hawaiian Island. And I want to tell you, you are abusing us. You're destroying us constantly. My people are still living, there's thousands of us. thousand, the Kahuna line, the royalty line, and I can name all of it. If I had my book here today, you would be sick. Because I'm a living descendant. I'm talking about
Please
my
summarize.
people. From the mountain to the sea, 300 miles out and right around all the Hawaiian island. I'm talking about all the Hawaiian island, not only Hawaii. I am connected. Every aupua'a on the island. I want you folks to know, you cannot buy us. You cannot buy my ancestors. They're buried on the land.
Thank you for your
can you do
testimony.
that?
Thank you very much for your testimony. Your 3 minutes is up. I'm so sorry to have to cut you off.
I don't agree what you folks are doing.
Thank you. Thank you, Auntie.
I feel so bad. I cannot help it. I'm a great grandmother. And I going for more.
Thank you so much for your testimony.
Thank you very
so
much for saying thank you. But I tell you, you guys are broken my heart down, and thousands of us still living. Okay?
Thank you. I'm going to have
If you
to
like
come
see
move
my
down to
book as
Hilo.
evidence and proof, I will bring it to Hilo.
Okay, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, aloha. Calling now Robert Long here in Hilo and Carrie Marks here in Hilo. Robert Long, Communication 63.
Yes.
May begin.
Yeah, I'd like to ask for you to help us overturn the PDLC. I want to thank you for your service and your care and your attention and your presence. And I think the way this has come about is really going to be divisive of the community, and it needs to be more democratic. And yes, we need development, and we need to help our economy, but we need to do it through the regular channels and not sacrifice safety and zoning, And many of these developers may be responsible, but we don't know, and some of them probably aren't. And I have a 4.5-year-old daughter, and I live very close to one of the proposed sites. And I'm asking you to help, just have the basic regulations that we've had in place that, we've been able to trust. Let's continue to trust those and not just put it all in the hands of the developers. That's not a responsible way to take care of our kids and our community. And please do what you can to help overturn it, because our safety and the health and well-being of the community depend on it. Thanks.
Thank you. Carrie Marks on Communication 63. May begin.
Aloha. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here to comment on the discussion about the PLDC. You want to know how and to what extent Hawaii County laws and land use policies would be applied to PLDC proposed developments in the County of Hawaii. That's a short discussion. They won't be. You cut out. They've made sure of that. So I support Ms. Ford's resolution last year. We all supported Ms. Ford's resolution last year to repeal the PLDC. I expect this council to hold to that this year as well. If you don't, the whole state's against you anyway. Like Shannon said, it's like the hot topic to write a new repeal the PLDC legislation. So I thank you, Ms. Wille, for bringing this up again so that all the new kids can get up to speed, because we all hate it. So we hate it. Repeal it. Are my 3 minutes up yet? We hate it. 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 A lot. Good afternoon, everybody. Mahalo.
Thank you. Pahoa, any other testifiers there?
No, Mr. Chair, no more testifiers for this committee.
Thank you. Kona?
We actually have one more testifier, Mr. Chair.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we have Ms. Trish Knudsen, and she is in opposition of Communication 63 in regards to the PLDC.
Okay. Hi, I'd just like to go on record with all of the others who are in opposition to the PLDC Act 55 and 97. It lacks total transparency and accountability. And I just ask that you please support the resolution to repeal Act 55 and 97. It is, as someone testified earlier, a pillage of Hawaiian heritage. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. So, Kona, no one else to testify?
No, that was our last testifier.
Thank you. Waimea? Anybody else there?
No, that was our last.
Thank you. Ka'u? Seeing none. Anybody else here in Hilo?
There's no testifiers here in Ka'u.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to give testimony on items on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to referrals. Madam Clerk, please read in communication